Long ago, before the children of Israel were many, before cities rose tall and borders were measured, lived a family whose story would shape generations. This was the household of Abraham's son, Isaac, and his wife, Rebekah. At the center were their two boys, twins whose lives were bound together from the very beginning. Rebekah knew something was wrong as her children grew within her. The movement was violent and strange. She asked the Lord about it, and the answer she received was heavy. Two nations were in her womb, and the older would serve the younger. When the time came, the first twin to emerge was red and covered in hair. They named him Esau. His brother came out holding his heel and was called Jacob, a name that would carry many meanings. From their first days, the brothers were different. Esau loved the open field, the thrill of the hunt. Jacob preferred the calm of the tents, the closeness of home. Their parents' love was divided. Isaac favored Esau, while Rebekah leaned toward Jacob. This uneven love slowly began to shape their choices. The story turns on a single moment. One afternoon, Esau returned from the field, exhausted and hungry. Jacob had just made a pot of thick red stew. The smell was irresistible. "Give me some of that stew," Esau demanded. Jacob saw an opportunity and named his price, the birthright. Before I continue, please take a moment to like and subscribe. It really makes a difference. These videos take a long time to make. This was the privilege of the firstborn son. Leadership, blessing, the promise passed down from Abraham. Esau, thinking only of his immediate hunger, scoffed at the idea. What good was a birthright to a starving man? He swore it away for a single bowl of stew, trading a future for a fleeting comfort. The deal was sealed with a careless oath, and the consequences would ripple far beyond their small family. Years passed. The second major turning point arrived when Isaac, now old and blind, decided to give the patriarchal blessing to his firstborn. He called Esau and asked him to hunt and prepare a special meal. But Rebekah overheard the plan. Remembering God's word that the older would serve the younger, she devised a desperate scheme. She called Jacob, told him to fetch 2 young goats and to prepare the savory food his father loved. Then she instructed him to go in dressed as Esau to deceive his father. Jacob was afraid of the risk, but obeyed his mother. He wore Esau's clothes to smell like the outdoors and put goatskins on his arms and neck to feel like his hairy brother. He entered his father's tent. Isaac was suspicious. The voice sounded like Jacob's, but when he touched the hairy skin, he was satisfied. He ate the meal and gave Jacob the blessing, words that would bind the family's future. "May nations serve you. May your brothers bow down to you." When Esau returned and learned of the deception, his grief and fury erupted. He cried out that Jacob had taken both his birthright and now his blessing. The house grew heavy with sorrow and shame. Fearing Esau's revenge, Rebekah urged Jacob to flee to her brother Laban's household until the anger subsided. And so Jacob left, with only his mother's tears and his father's dim farewell. On the road, alone under the stars, Jacob had a powerful dream. He saw a ladder reaching from earth to heaven, with angels ascending and descending. At the top stood the Lord, who promised him the land he was sleeping on, descendants as numerous as the dust, and his protection wherever he went. This dream changed Jacob, binding him again to the promise first given to Abraham. Jacob worked for his uncle Laban, learning the hard lessons of bargaining and cunning. He served 7 years for Rachel, the woman he loved, only to be tricked into marrying her older sister Leah. He had to work another 7 years for Rachel. Over 2 decades, his family and flocks grew, and he became a wealthy man, experienced in the ways of the world. But the old wound from home, the fear of Esau's anger and the guilt of his deception, followed him like a shadow. Then God told Jacob it was time to return to the land of his birth. His heart hammered with fear. He prepared carefully, sending generous gifts of livestock ahead to appease his brother. The night before their meeting, Jacob sent his family across the Jabbok River and remained alone. A man appeared and wrestled with him until daybreak. Jacob, though injured in his hip, refused to let go until he received a blessing. The man said, "Your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, for you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome." Jacob limped into the morning, changed, bearing a new name and a new purpose. The reunion with Esau was not the violent confrontation Jacob had feared. Instead, Esau ran to him, embraced him, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him, and they both wept. The tension that had built for 20 years dissolved in that one tender moment. They talked, they parted, and they went their separate ways, each to father a nation, fulfilling in their own ways the promise spoken before they were born. The story of Jacob and Esau is a tapestry of human motives and divine movement. It teaches us that our choices matter, even those made in hunger and haste. Deception bears fruit that is both sweet and bitter. Jacob got the blessing, but he also carried guilt and fear for years. Favoritism in a family creates wounds that last a lifetime. Yet, even in our brokenness, God's promise endures. He works through flawed people, shaping destiny through pain, dreams, and wrestling nights. The brothers' story is also about the surprising power of forgiveness. Esau's readiness to forgive shows that humility and the warmth of a shared bond can heal the oldest wounds. Jacob's limp became a visible reminder of his struggle, a sign that transformation often leaves scars. This ancient story still speaks to us today. It asks, what are we willing to trade for immediate comfort? How do our family dynamics shape who we become? And can the hurts we inflict on others ever truly be healed? The narrative doesn't give easy answers, but it shows that blessing is something we must often wrestle for, and that forgiveness, while costly, has the power to mend what was torn apart. Thank you so much for watching. If this story resonated with you, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. It helps us create more content like this. We'll see you in the next one.